I love this passage, and it really exemplifies what's happening now. So, Jesus went through all the towns and villages. We're starting at verse 35. Jesus went through all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, preaching the good news of the kingdom, and healing every disease and sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. And then he said to his disciples, the harvest is, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field. We want to pray for something. It's the thing to pray for. We need harvesters because the harvest field is so plentiful. And now is the day. And the crowds, the people in Bromley, they are harassed. Those who don't know Jesus, they are genuinely harassed and they are helpless. They are sheep without a shepherd. What a tough way to live, to be a sheep without a shepherd in today's modern world. And I know that's why you're here. But the extraordinary power of your unity, your prayer, and to take the Great Commission of the gospel and to go into all of Bromley, and make disciples of all nations. They'll all be here in Bromley. Go into all of Bromley and make disciples and do it together because people are harassed and they are helpless. They are sheep without a shepherd. And we know the best good shepherd who is calling them. And why is the day now? Why is this so exciting? So did any of you see the census? What lovely census headline did we have?
Christianity no longer.
Yeah, doom, doom, doom. So we had a bit of doom on so basically we dropped under 50% of people who would say they're Christian in the UK. We're actually around, this could be, and I said about 5, it could be 4 around here, 5%, 6% Muslim, max in the whole of the UK. The other religions are actually very small, but you will find those in your urban city centres. I do feel like the weather lady. I may have missed my calling. Coming in from the east, we have Storm Amy. This is like where we were predicting until recently, the growing rise of atheism. That was where we were predicting the growing rise of atheism. And then the growing rise of the just none of the above, not religious, not interested, no thank you. By the way, the none of the above has a third who is spiritual. And if you're out on the street and you're talking to somebody, if you meet somebody 65 and above, they're more likely to be in this category, that they've got some contact with Christianity. And if you meet someone younger, they're more likely to be in the none of the above category. But they're probably opposing the concept of organized religion. But everything has begun to change, like literally since when we did this research in 2022. The ground under our feet is moving, and it is moving at an extraordinary pace. Did you ever watch the Extraordinary Narnia films? And you know when you've lived in winter so long and they never had Christmas, and you just get used to winter. And every time you go out the door, you've got to put on 13 layers. But it's just the way that the land is. And we've lived in it so long that we're not ready for something else. And remember that Aslan begins to move in Narnia. And you know what happens, don't you? The snow begins to melt. And people begin to go, we could celebrate Christmas. And then up from the ground, because they were always there, little green shoots begin to grow and flowers begin to blossom. And the rumour spreads right through the land that Aslan is on the move. And that the spell of winter is broken, and that the darkness and the cold is over. And that the day of spring and summer and rejoicing is coming, and it becomes infectious. That is the place we're standing right now in Bromley right now, where you're standing, the ground is beginning to move, and the winter is beginning to disappear, and the spring is on the turn, because Jesus is on the move. And so what we want to look at is how we make the most of that. So even since we did this research, about another 1% has joined the Church of Jesus Christ in what we would call active and practicing Christians. These are people who regularly worship once a month, as you heard earlier. That seems to have slipped since when I was in the Brethren. Yeah, at least once a month they're worshipping with us, many of them many more than that. They're praying regularly and they're reading their Bibles regularly. What an army. Because we need an army of harvesters. We need an army of harvesters. And the army has grown by about the size of Glasgow. Now, if the whole of Glasgow had come to faith, can you imagine what the newspapers would be saying? But the fascinating thing about the growth that we're seeing in the Quiet Revival is that it's right across the UK. It's in 1s and 2s, sometimes in 5s, sometimes in 6s. It's extraordinary, the reach of this Quiet Revival that is rippling right the way through the UK. And it's in all different places and churches. But let's look at some of the headlines. 12% of the adults in England and Wales are now attending church monthly. 12%, that's an army. So when you have 10% in any given population, you have a culture forming movement. So we as the church, we've so often let culture come and form us. It's time for us to put a foot forward and to start to realize we're a big enough group of people, we're an extraordinary movement of Jesus Christ, and rather than just reacting to everything that gets thrown at us, we actually can begin to form the way we are, the way the UK is, the society in which we walk in, the communities in which we live. In fact, we're one of the only organisations who's there right across the UK in this level of numbers, with a level of unity and a level of something very important, that we all follow Jesus Christ. We're extraordinary. We're extraordinary. And it means we could be more front foot. And your unity in Bromley means that you can be a front foot. You can begin to shape the world in which you live rather than react to the world in which you live. The church, we lost our confidence and we became so like we just kept on reacting. Wave and wave and wave of things have come at us and we've just gone back. But it's actually time for us to go forward under the leadership of Jesus, who is on the move, and bring spring and summer into the UK and break people out of the period of darkness and winter they've been living in. Now, this is staggering. If I'd come to you 5 years ago or 3 years ago for your breakfast even, and I'd said to you, do you know what's going to happen? We're going to see this extraordinary growth of young men. And they're going to be the biggest harvest we're going to see in the UK is going to be young men aged 18 to 24. You'd have been like, what would you have thought? You'd have gone, that woman is delusional. Take her away. And might be thinking anyway. But this is staggering. 21% of all of and the Quiet Revival stats are enormous. They've done a really big poll. It's weighted, it's solid, we can stand on it. 21% of all the guys aged 18 to 24 are now regular churchgoers. When was that ever likely to happen? When did we ever predict it? I so love what Jesus does, don't you? We'd never have predicted this. We couldn't have seen it. We couldn't have planned for it. We couldn't have created a strategy for it. And you know, it's happening kind of regardless of us. Isn't God amazing? You know, over here we might be having strategy planning meetings and Jesus is like, well, I think we'll just do this. Oh! And then they're rocking up, aren't they? And I know some of you will have seen them in your churches. I know you'll have seen them in your churches because I can imagine them coming to church in Bromley. I hope they won't mind me saying this, but I was over in Swansea and Brecon, which, how can I put it? I didn't feel it was the centre of the universe, as we were struggling to get a PowerPoint projector to work in the cathedral, and we were actually gaffer taping up the screen. So there I was in Swansea and Brecon thinking, does God move in Swansea and Brecon? You know, will this movement of spring, has it reached here yet? in my arrogant London-centric world. So I asked them, and it was beautiful and amazing to hear the stories of young men in Brecon and Swansea coming to faith. No. It's exciting. And it's because Jesus is on the move. And he's not doing this in one place and we all have to get an airplane ticket or we miss out. You know? That's not what's happening. He's doing it here. And he's doing it in Swansea and Brecon. So one guy said, yes, he'd had 8 young men join his church. He hadn't actually had a strategy for it. They've come to church. And he hasn't changed anything. And he's like an Anglo-Catholic church. He's 100% on Jesus and the gospel, traditional worship. They've walked through the door. Another guy said, yes, somebody ran through the doors, panting. They'd run to church and they're like, am I in time to find Jesus? So he's like, yes, do come and sit down. The service is about to start. Don't you love that response? Staggering what's going. 33% of the adult churchgoers in the UK are aged 18 to 34. Are we dead? No. Are we alive? Yes. Is King Jesus on the move? How staggering is this? Did we ever think we'd see this happen in our lifetime? We've prayed for it. We've asked for this, and Jesus is on the move. So what do we do, and what's our response? I'm going to slip a few of these. This is the resurrection. Actually, I'm not going to slip the resurrection. I'm going to have to speed up. But 16% of people believe in the resurrection word for word. 29% believe to some degree. I love those. I don't know which bit of Jesus they think got resurrected. But they believe that Jesus rose to some degree. Do you know what? I just want to say this really clearly. More people believe that Jesus rose from the dead in the UK than believe that he didn't. Can we just say that again? More people believe that Jesus rose from the dead in the UK than the people who don't believe that he rose from the dead. That'd be a nice headline, wouldn't it? Yeah. But isn't that staggering? So, you know, when we have Easter, like we've got something called the Alive series that you could do around Easter or other things, do something united, make Easter enormous. It's like our FA Cup final. Jesus rose from the dead, and on that is all our hope of our resurrection. And we have a whole pile of people who don't know what's going to happen when they die. You know, there are people dying in the UK who've never heard about the impact of the resurrection of Jesus. They don't really, this group particularly, don't really understand that they could have assurance for life after death. And the extraordinary moment that we're living through means we can be really obvious about Jesus. So let me explain this. This is where we asked people where they'd go. Sorry, I won't bash the guitar. Where would you go to find Jesus? Always good to put Jesus where people are looking for him. Yes? Great. Number 1 is online. This is where non-Christians would look. So we need to keep our online presence. We need to be sharp about it. What can you do together as Christians together in Bromley to make sure everyone searching in Bromley can find Jesus online, hearing all your testimonies as a great starting place? You could do that, no problem. But then, hurrah! Going to a local church and, sorry, need my prop, reading the Bible. Don't you absolutely love it? Bible sales have gone through the roof. Why? Because people have decided this is what they want to do. They want to find out about the Christian faith. So these two things they're doing on their own. They're Googling at home and they're buying and reading Bibles by themselves at home to discover who and what this is all about. They're doing it off their own. It's incredible. And then they're rocking up in your church. You're probably meeting them because they've done a bit of homework and they've got ready and then they're coming into your church. But I love it. Going to a local church, reading the Bible, Google. It's not complicated, is it? Combine those things up and we could easily reach the UK. This is again from the Ripe for Harvest from the Bible Society. 1 in 3 would like to come to church. 1 in 3. Could you invite them, please? They're just waiting to be invited. So who could you invite? You could invite every street. You could invite every home in Bromley to church. I know you could do it because I can see in this room there's enough of you to do that. We can get you a map on an app. So if you need to map it out, you can. You don't have to. But you together in Bromley could ask every single person behind every door. Can I explain? You might go door to door, Rachel. We did that in the 19 whatevers. It isn't the 19 whatevers. In the 19 whatevers, we were living in winter. We're now living in spring. Okay? So the people behind the door are in a completely different place to when you last did door to door, unless you went out last week. Okay? So we can invite them to church. 1 in 4 want to open this. And we know from all our other research is when people open a Bible, what happens when you read the Bible? What happens when a non-Christian reads the Bible? Is there anything else we'd like to put in their hands better than this? How simple is that? So we could go around the door and say, hello, we're from the local church. We'd just like to tell you about, we're here. Have you actually ever read about, would you like one? We've got one for you here. We can take all the pictures out of this and put Bromley or whatever your, Bromley Borough photos in right the way through and make it bespoke. So you can call it the Bromley Bible. Hello, we're from the local church. We've got a gift from you. Have you heard? Yeah, we've done this new edition, the Bromley Bible, and we've got all our Facebook groups to send in the images. So one of your images might even be in here. We're running book clubs in the local library, the Costa Coffee, and some in our churches, some in our charity shops. Would you like to come to a book club that discusses the Bromley Bible? There'll be one for you. You can go to the website, find one that suits you. They're on all different times. We'd love to invite you and meet you. And we're here to pray for you. If there's anything that's on your heart, we, as the church in Bromley, together, we guarantee we'll pray for you. I can pray for you right now, or you can write it down on this prayer card, and I guarantee that the local Christians of Bromley will take your prayer request seriously, and we'll be praying for you. We'd love to see you at our church. We'd love to invite you along to read this and come to a book club. We'd love to pray for you. And look at the results of what you should expect to find. That's a massive, plentiful harvest field. And it's right where you are, in Bromley. So for a minute, just close your eyes. Imagine one of your streets in Bromley. And just think that 2 out of 3 of the people behind those doors would appreciate your church praying for them, or you praying for them. 2 out of 3 of those doors would love you to offer prayer. 1 in 4 of them are going to take away a Bible. When you rock up on the door, they're going to take the Bible. And 1 in 3 of them are going to come and join you just as you are in your local church. You can open your eyes again. We're going to end. The harvest is? And looking around this room, I'd like to say that you're doing pretty well because the workers aren't looking that few. So, the time is now. What will you do in Bromley? What will go down in the history books of what you did together that went with this wave? And I can't tell you how long this door of openness and opportunity is going to last. Please don't spend all of the time sharpening the pencils, getting the new notepad out, having 30,000 committee meetings. We're really good at those. And by the time we've got to the 13th committee, if the door has closed and we've missed this opportunity, don't we want to go with what Jesus is doing? Don't you want to reach Bromley? And if you do, should we do it together? Thank you.